These books are sure to jingle your bells. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife and today I am taking you through some holiday romances that you might want to check out in the lead up to the festive season. Some of these are going to be really spicy romances, some of these are going to be pretty clean, closed door romances, and I've also got a couple of LGBT romances in here, so there is going to hopefully be something for everybody, no matter what your romance tastes are. Let's start off with something a little bit short to kind of kickstart you into the mood. This is Wrapped Up in You by Talia Hibbert. It is a pretty short novella. I think it's only about 130 pages. So if you want something that's going to gently ease you into the festive reading season, this might be the way to go. This is about William and Abby. William is a billion-dollar actor. He has been voted the world's sexiest man previously, but there is one thing that has always evaded him that he's always wanted, and that is his best friend's little sister, Abby. This year, however, they are trapped at William's grandmother's cabin, they and 27 cats, and William sets his sights on finally getting with the girl of his dreams. If you know anything about Talia Hibbert's writing, you know that this is going to be pretty steamy, you know that this one is going to be pretty open door, so if you're into that, this is definitely something that you want to check out. But I have never been let down by a Talia Hibbert book before, and this one is absolutely no exception. Next are two books with a kind of a similar theme, and that theme is Groundhog Day meets Christmas. We'll start with In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This book is about Mei Lin, whose family have all been going to the same cabin about 20 years or so. They go with family friends and everybody gets together once a year, except that this is going to be the final year. The cabin owners, who are friends of her parents, have decided to sell up and get the money into their own house that they actually live in 11 months of the year. This kind of devastates Mei Lin, as it's a big step for her. Things are kind of in flux in her whole life anyway, so this kind of feels like she's tipped over the scales a little bit. When she goes to bed on Christmas Eve, she just wishes that everything would stay as it is. She wakes up the next day, back on the plane to Utah, which is where the cabin is, and ready to live out everything all over again. I really love the idea of a kind of a living through the same day, but things go a little bit differently and you get brought back to the start just by having done this thing. And I really love the idea of trying to get somebody on board with what's happening every single time. So this is such a great example of that. It's a really funny book as well. I really love Christina Lauren's writing. I think they gel together so well as authors. And this is such a great book. If you, like I said, really enjoy the concept of Groundhog Day, you will really enjoy this. The second such book is The Christmas Wish by Lindsay Kelk. This book is about Gwen, who is trained as a lawyer, but she has recently lost her job. Her relationship has also gone into tatters, and she just wants to experience one Christmas where nothing goes wrong, where everything is cozy and where everything is comfortable. So she wakes up the next day and she is right back at the start of Christmas Eve. So she is brought right back to the screaming arguments that her family have over who's going to cook the turkey and what the sides are going to be. And she is also reintroduced to her really hot next door neighbor. And I love the idea of trying to make somebody fall in love with you again and again and again. It's a concept in 50 First Dates, one of my favorite films. So this was such a great book as well. If you're really interested in the idea of a Groundhog Day but make it Christmas, why don't you read the two books back to back and see which one of them works out best for you? Next up is one that is a little bit closer to home for me, and that is Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. Catherine Walsh is an Irish writer, and she sets a lot of her books about people who have left Ireland and are coming back for whatever reason. The reason the characters are coming back in this book is obviously to spend Christmas with their families. This book is about Molly and Andrew, who have met each other while they are both living in Canada. They are quite good friends, but nothing has ever happened between the two of them. They make a plan every single year to take the last flight home on Christmas Eve together, which gets them back into Dublin around morning time on Christmas Eve, so they still have some time to spend with their families. However, this year their travel plans have been completely cast into disarray. There is a huge snowstorm over the Atlantic, which means that every flight out of Toronto has been grounded. What ensues is a 30-hour trip taking them from Canada into the US, into Argentina, all the way into Ireland, and suddenly the lines between friends and something more are starting to blur a little bit. I love a friends to lovers romance. Throw in a festive season and you have really got the perfect book. Next up is two books by the same author, Maggie Knox. Let's start out with her first book, The Holiday Swap. This follows twin sisters Cass and Charlie. Charlie is a professional chef and she is one of the judges on a bake-off style baking show. However, she has hit her head. She's had an accident where she's hit her head and has lost her ability to sense, taste, and smell. Kind of important things that you need to have when you are judging a baking competition. To keep everything ticking over, because Charlie has her eye on a higher up job in the show than she already has, she calls up her sister Cass and presents something that they've never done since they were children. Why don't they swap lives? Cass kind of jumps on the idea because life for her at home is also starting to get a little bit dangerous. She has just opened her own baking shop, but her ex-boyfriend can't really seem to get the message that things are over between the two of them and keeps just popping up everywhere that Cass goes. Everything seems to be going well until you throw in a really hunky firefighter and a fantastic looking doctor into the mix, and it's looking like their secret might be coming out a little bit earlier than they expected it to. Maggie's second book, All I Want for Christmas, is centered around another reality show, but this time it is Star Maker, a singing show. And in this you are following Sadie and Max, who are two contestants on the show, who are paired together in a kind of a duets week, and the chemistry that the two of them have on stage is fire, for want of a better word. The producers kind of cash in on this and decide that Max and Sadie are going to fake date each other on the show and in the media to drum up the ratings and to drum up the views, except that there is one problem. Max and Sadie cannot stand each other. However, when you throw in having to constantly be around each other and a trip to Banff, the ice might start to thaw between the two of them. Next up is Love Light Farms by B.K. Barson. This is the first in a series, but I have a feeling this is the only kind of Christmas themed one. This book is about Stella, who has entered a competition to be the best Christmas tree farm in the area. This is going to be judged by the influencer Evelyn St. James. If you think that that is not an Evelyn Hugo reference, I don't know what to tell you. The problem is that on her application form, Stella has said that she and her boyfriend run the farm. But there is no boyfriend. This is where Stella asks her best friend Luca to stand in as her boyfriend while she is being judged and while the competition is going on. Except that these two friends genuinely start to fall for each other as the competition progresses. Take a look at this cover and try to convince me that this isn't going to be spicy as hell. I am so excited for a super spicy Christmas novel that I can just curl up and read while we have put our own Christmas tree up, or after it's been put up and I'm just sitting underneath the lights and reading this. I feel like that is the perfect way to herald in Christmas. If you want your Christmas romance to have a bit of a small town vibe, then I would definitely recommend checking out Stuck on You by Portia McIntosh. Portia McIntosh is really underrated, but this Christmas book of hers is probably my favourite of her books so far. This is about Sadie, who is working in an advertisement agency and is hot desking with somebody she has never met. And they communicate with each other by leaving notes to complain about Damien, their boss, who basically sends the two of them on this completely wild goose chase of getting coffee from this place and then complaining that it's the wrong order, or breaking up with his girlfriends for them because he's too busy, he has too many meetings to go to. When Damien has nowhere to go at Christmas, his flat has completely been waterlogged, Sadie takes pity on him and decides to invite him back to her place in Yorkshire. What follows is probably one of the coziest Christmases I've ever seen in a book. The townspeople have a thing called Dickens Day where they go around and kind of emulate the things that you would see in A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. They have a pajama night at the cinema where they watch I Think It's a Wonderful Life. Her family have a kind of a race against each other where they have to deliver all of their Christmas cards within X amount of time. I love reading this book. I haven't read it in a couple of years, but it's definitely one that I'm going to return to quite soon because it just gives me such cozy small town Christmas vibes, and that's just what I need at this time of year. Next up is Window Shopping by Tessa Bailey, and if you've read any Tessa Bailey books before, you'll know that this is almost the opposite of a cozy Christmas vibe. This is a pretty downright smutty Christmas vibe. This book follows Stella and Aidan. Stella is walking past a department store one day, looks at the window display, and thinks to herself aloud that she could do better. Unfortunately, she is standing right beside Aidan, the general manager of the store, who takes her up on her offer and tells her that if she thinks she can, then why not go ahead and do it. While they are working together, sparks start to fly between the two of them and things start to really spice up before Christmas. Next up is A Very Merry Bromance by Lisa K. Adam. This is the 5th book of the Bromance book club series, but I do think that you can read this one out of order as a standalone, because I read book 1 and then this book, and I didn't really feel like I was missing out on anything. This book follows Gretchen and Colton. Gretchen is an immigration lawyer, and it's really hard for her to get in the festive spirit when she is still finding her clients being deported or being held by immigration around this time of year. And Colton is a huge country music star, but he has been through a couple of setbacks in his personal life, and is really finding it hard to find any inspiration for his upcoming album. Gretchen reaches out to Colton. They had been in a relationship previously, a very short-lived one, and she asks him to be the frontman of her family's whiskey brand in an upcoming advertisement series. Colton agrees to this, but on one stipulation. Gretchen is going to go out with him on 3 dates so that he can prove to her that they do have that chemistry he was looking for. Of course, when people are starting to fake date each other and when the festive season really does kick off, Gretchen's heart is going to start to thaw a little bit. Next up is Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogel. This book follows Betty, who is not quite living the extravagant lifestyle that her Instagram would have you believe that she is. She is actually completely flat broke. One night, while she is lamenting herself, she accidentally plays All I Want for Christmas Is You backwards, and when singing along to it, accidentally summons Hall. Hall is like the embodiment of the Christmas spirit. He is so in love with the festive season, and Betty is finding it a little bit hard to be festive this year because of her financial situation. Hall decides to pose as Betty's fiancé while she is going to visit family, and while he is with her, he tries to remind her about the magic of Christmas and the wonder of this time of year, and things start to happen between the two of them on the Broye. Not necessarily a holiday romance, but there is a little bit of a love story sprinkled into this. This is more about a familial relationship, but this is Stay Another Day by Juno Dawson. This follows the McAllister family, and generations of this family have celebrated Christmas in the same home on Arboretum Road for over 100 years. But this year, things are starting to go a little bit off key. Fern is bringing her boyfriend Tom home to meet the family for the first time over Christmas. Her twin brother Rowan is bringing his non-binary friend Sid home for Christmas because Sid's family have basically disowned them and they have nowhere to go for Christmas. And Willow, the youngest child of the family, is basically afraid of Christmas and has spent the entire time locked up in her room. With so much happening over the Christmas season, it's almost a given that secrets are going to pop out somewhere in the works. If you want books with the I fell for your sibling vibe, I have got 2 recommendations just for you. The first one is Kiss Her Once for Me by Alison Cochrane. This follows Ellie, who has met with a woman in a bookstore. They had a fabulous meet cute and an amazing night together. But the following morning, Ellie's life starts to fall apart. She loses her job, she is betrayed, and she is basically left completely down on the dumps. The only thing that she can manage to find is a job in a coffee shop which is run by Andrew. And when her finances start to really fall apart, Andrew proposes a marriage of convenience just to get Ellie back on her feet. When Ellie is brought to meet Andrew's family, she is introduced to his sister Jack. Turns out, Jack is the person that Ellie had met in the bookstore and had that night together. And Ellie cannot stop thinking of Jack since. The second book is Make You Mine This Christmas by Lizzie Huxley Jones. This is about Half, who ends up getting a little bit tipsy at a Christmas party and ends up kissing Christopher, who she had basically just met, but felt a little bit of a connection. The next day, news has come out that these two are the new it couple and that Half is going back to Christopher's family for Christmas. So they decide to fake date, they decide to make true on this promise, and Half goes back to see Christopher's family and spend Christmas holidays with them. Except that while she is there, Half starts to fall for Christopher's younger sister, Kit. And this is starting to put a little bit of a spanner into the fake relationship. Those are some holiday romances that I really think that you need to check out this year. What holiday romance is on your radar, or is there one that I have completely forgotten to mention? If you'd love to leave me a comment but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me a twinkling star emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.